I'm John Skinner, and this supports Chapter 11 in my book, Fishing the Bucktail. A very simple rig here. This is a 3-inch Gulp shrimp placed on a plain 3/0 Gamakatsu bait saver hook. It's on a dropper loop 1 foot above a 3/4 ounce bucktail with a Gulp swimming mullet 4-inch. This is very shallow fishing. I'm in about 3 to 6 feet of water, and you can see that right here. There goes my rig coming out of the water on a hook set, so it is very shallow. And I had been out for about 45 minutes. This is a place I've never fished before, and all I was catching was shorts, small fluke. And I decided to move away from where I was. I was fishing around some bar structure, and I went for some darker colored bottom because I hadn't been seeing any bait around, so I reasoned that if I fished over some muddy bottom, certainly that would hold crabs and shrimp, and maybe that's where the better fluke would be, and it turns out that was the case. I've been finding that these 3-inch Gulp shrimp, this is new penny color, I'm sure the natural and other colors work fine as well. I've been finding that these work extremely well when the fluke, or summer flounder as they're sometimes called, are feeding on crabs and shrimp, and I figured that's what they would be on in a muddy area, and boy, the vast majority of the fish definitely were taking the shrimp, and it worked out real well. This is a Long Island South Shore Bay. The full rigging details for this rig are on a separate video on my YouTube channel. So the drift is really slowed here. I'm down to about 0.5 miles an hour. So I've switched over to spinning gear because I find that a lot of times over shallow water, casting and retrieving works extremely well. It's especially when you've got a slow drift situation like this, you can think of it as sort of accelerating the drift. You can really cover some bottom. And I actually should have switched over a little bit earlier because right away from the first cast, it was cast after cast, I started taking fish, and this is the first cast, and the hits are a little bit different. A lot of times when you're casting and you're pulling it towards you instead of straight up and down, the hit feels like slack line because the fish hits it and keeps moving. So when you feel slack, you just set the hook, and that's what I did on the first one, and I ended up losing that fish, but it didn't matter. The second one came right up after it. So you might notice I use the same rapid jigging technique when I'm casting and retrieving as I do when I'm fishing vertically straight up and down. So the rod is a 7-foot Penn Regiment rated 10 to 17 pound test line. The reel is a Penn Conflict 4000, and it's spooled with 15 pound test spider wire stealth for the main line. And the terminal rig is 20 pound test fluorocarbon. One of the reasons I think the casting works so well in the shallow water is that you really can't mess up the strike zone very much, because if you're casting into 4 feet of water and your rig's only 2 feet below the surface, well, it's still only 2 feet off the bottom and well within reach of the fluke, so it's just pretty easy to accomplish, and you can cover a lot of water with it, and it does work out very well in the shallows, as you can see here. So it looks like there aren't any other boats on the water. There are some boats around. Actually, there's quite a few of them around, and I like to stay away from them normally anyway, and certainly with the kayak I like to keep my distance if I can. So I kind of went off on my own, and it worked out well. When I was by the other boats, nobody was really doing all that much, so I felt pretty comfortable just going out on my own looking for fish, even though I hadn't been to this area before. It's kind of fun going to a new area and trying to figure it out. Alright, you can see I've got a double header here, and I avoid the net as much as I can anyway, so the thought of netting 2 fluke at the same time in a kayak is not very appealing, even though I'm thinking that top fish, I'm trying to get a look at it here, but I'm pretty sure that top fish could be a legal one. But I'm going to make a decision not to use the net and make a big mess and lose a lot of time. So the larger of the two just shook off the hook. So I did real well over the mud, and I was on my way back to the ramp, and I wanted to just check out some of the sandy spots on the way back. And you can tell by the watercolor difference here. It's a light colored bottom. I'm actually pulling right up on a sandbar, and you could see that the wind, I'm going into it, so just stopped like right at the edge of the sandbar, let the wind blow me off into the deeper water, and now I'm in about 9 feet of water, which is as deep as I had fished this day. So this next fish that I catch, you'll be able to see a color difference as compared to the other ones. This one's a light tan color coming off a sandy bottom. The other ones are a dark brown coming off the mud. And that's away in deeper water. You can kind of get an idea of what kind of bottom you're fishing over just by looking at the color of the fish. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to my channel.